On the night of May 16th, 1770, the wedding bed of Louis XVI of France and Marie Antoinette was prepared for history. The entire court expected news of consummation, but instead of triumph, the night ended in humiliation and in rumors so cruel that they would haunt the young queen for the rest of her life. Versailles was a place where nothing remained private. Every gesture of the king, every glance of the queen was measured and dissected by courtiers desperate for gossip. That evening, as the candles flickered and the air hung heavy with expectation, Louis and Marie were ushered to their bedchamber. Their marriage was not simply a union of two young people. It was the sealing of an alliance between two great powers, France and Austria. The Habsburgs and the Bourbons had been enemies for centuries, and this marriage was meant to heal the rift and forge peace. But the strength of that bond rested, quite literally, on what would happen behind closed doors. The consummation of a royal marriage was not merely a private matter, it was political. Proof of intimacy meant proof of alliance, and the future of nations seemed to hang on whether these two teenagers, Louis just 15, Marie Antoinette barely 14, could fulfill their duty on that wedding night. The pressure was immense. Nobles whispered outside the chamber doors, waiting to hear laughter or some sign of completion. The bedding ceremony itself was a ritual. The couple led to their chamber by torchlight, undressed by attendants, and then, as tradition dictated, left alone with expectations that the union be sealed. But in truth, Louis was shy, awkward, and inexperienced. Marie Antoinette, though lively and charming in public, was terrified in private. The two had scarcely spoken with intimacy before this night, and now they were expected to perform under the heaviest gaze of Europe. The weight of it all bore down on them. Accounts say that nothing happened. Louis, unsure, hesitant, perhaps even overwhelmed, did not act. Marie, nervous and confused, did not know how to respond. The night passed in silence and discomfort, and when dawn broke, the news spread like wildfire. Not that the marriage had been consummated, but that it had not. And in the merciless world of Versailles, a void of fact was quickly filled with rumor. Some whispered that Louis was impotent. Others whispered that Marie Antoinette herself recoiled in fear. A crueler tale circulated that she had panicked so much in the heat of the moment that she had soiled herself in front of her husband, leaving him disgusted, humiliated, and unwilling to proceed. Whether or not that detail was ever true, it clung to her like a stain, because the reality was humiliating enough. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and still no consummation. In a court obsessed with fertility and heirs, the absence of intimacy became a national scandal. Letters flew between Vienna and Versailles, with Marie's mother, Empress Maria Theresa, urging her daughter to fulfill her duty and warning that her future as queen depended on it. Louis, however, remained passive, disinterested, perhaps fearful. Some historians believe he suffered from a physical condition, phimosis, that made the act painful and difficult, though it was later corrected surgically. Others believe it was simply anxiety and awkwardness, the paralysis of a shy young man unprepared for the immense scrutiny placed upon him. Whatever the cause, the result was the same. For 7 long years, the marriage remained unconsummated. And in that vacuum, rumors multiplied. Pamphleteers, enemies of the crown, and even members of the court mocked Marie Antoinette relentlessly. She was accused of frigidity of incompetence, even of unnatural behavior? The tale of her supposed accident on her wedding night resurfaced again and again, retold with gleeful cruelty by those who wished to see her diminished. For Marie, the humiliation was unbearable. She longed for affection, for understanding, and instead she received ridicule. Louis, too, suffered. He was mocked as weak, incapable, unmanly, hardly the image of a king destined to command one of Europe's greatest nations. Their inability to complete the marriage bed became a symbol of royal failure, whispered about in salons, exaggerated in the press, and remembered by history. When at last, years later, they did manage to consummate the marriage, after Louis underwent medical treatment and with mounting pressure from all sides, it was too late to erase the damage. The laughter and rumors had already defined them. Marie Antoinette, especially, would never escape the shadow of humiliation. Later in her reign, when revolutionary pamphlets smeared her as Madame Deficit and accused her of every kind of depravity, the seeds of scorn had already been planted back in 1770 on that very first night.